Hey guys, it's Christina of Crafty Paws. I wanted to come to you today and share a process video making this thank you card for my hubby's grandmother, who is 98 years old and recently decided to move into a 24-hour care facility. My hubby went to go visit her last week and she surprised us with a gift to me. I was just blown away by her generosity, and really I was so touched that she chose me to give all of these precious heirloom pieces too. So I wanted to make a really pretty, elegant card for her to illustrate to her how much her thoughtful and generous gift meant to us. I chose Delicate Doilies, a stamp set by Inspired by Stamping, which is an Australian company. The following is a start to finish process video. I hope you enjoy it. I first coat the paper with my EK Tools powder tool. It's an anti-static tool to prep the surface for heat embossing. That's the stamp set I chose, and like the name suggests, Delicate Doilies is a really detailed, delicate stamp. So you have to really take care to put as much Versamark ink on it to get all those little details to show up. And on cardstock like this, it's relatively easy, but you do have to put some pressure on, I think, to get a clear stamped image with the Versamark ink. So I'm really pressing down, as you can see, to try and make sure I get all those really beautiful details of the stamped image. And here I'm pulling the paper off of the stamps. And I'm taking some gold embossing powder. It's a no-name brand that was just carried at my local scrapbook store here, but it's an extra fine embossing powder, so it really picks up the details beautifully. Here I'm just tapping off some of the excess. And I do take a dry paintbrush and brush off some of the stray powder. And I'm just using a coffee filter to catch all of the excess powder and put it back into the jar. So there's very little waste at all. I'm taking my heat tool and heating the back of the paper as well as the front, because I think that helps keep the paper from warping too much. If I just heated it on the front, I think it would warp more. So I do the back and then I do the front. And I love watching embossing powder liquefy because I feel like it's like magic. It's so fun to watch. You can see it, I think even on the video, the transformation, because it turns like a more shimmery gold. Now I'm taking a scrap of vellum and putting the anti-static powder on that because I want to stamp out the thanks on vellum using my Memento Luxe black ink. And I wanted to get a crisp image again. And on vellum, which is a more slick surface, it's really hard to get crisp heat embossing on vellum. So I used black ink and then clear embossing powder. So I think that came out with a crisp look. I had tried white and gold also on vellum, and it just didn't come out as crisply as this Memento Luxe ink did for the details of this thanks stamp from an old Stampin' Up! Set. It's called Vintage Verses. And again, I'm heating the back of the vellum as well as the front so that the vellum doesn't warp too much. Look at that magic, I love that. Now, to create more interest on the card, I thought I would layer on some additional pieces of doily stamped out on vellum. So I'm doing exactly what I did with the thanks sentiment, using my Memento Luxe ink in black and stamping that onto my prepared scrap of vellum. And again, I'm trying to be really careful because it's such a detailed stamp to really push in there. And you'll see I actually flip it over, and I'm off camera a little bit, but I'm actually burnishing the back of the stamp to make sure the whole impression gets on. Again, I'm using clear embossing powder, sprinkling that on top, and it actually also protects the stamped image so it doesn't smear. So it's kind of twofold. One, the shininess of the embossing, which I think adds a really nice texture, but also protecting the detail of the stamped image. Again, I'm heating both the front and the back of the vellum. Here I'm just fussy cutting out each of the black stamped and embossed doilies from the vellum. And I've sped this up and I've edited parts of it out so you don't have to sit here and just watch me fussy cut. I really like fussy cutting, and this is so mindless. It's so zen. I love it. And here I am layering on these pieces just using my hot glue gun. Just a little dab will do ya. And I futzed with this for a really long time trying to figure out the exact right placement of each little vellum piece, but I tried to edit a lot of that out. And here I am hot gluing on the thanks sentiment, and I'm just making sure that whenever I'm hot gluing vellum pieces, I put the hot glue where there's black ink to kind of camouflage the adhesive used. I wanted to pop this whole panel up on the card base, so I'm just using double-sided foam adhesive, cutting out little strips and putting them all over the back. And then I decided the front needed a little something more. It needed more sparkle, so I added bling pieces in black and champagne to go with the black embossing and the gold embossing. And I just scattered them, at the centers of each doily, the larger ones, and then a few pieces just on the white areas like you see there. And I really think that sparkle added a great finishing touch. Lastly, I'm just taking the backing off of the foam adhesive so that I can place it centered. I'm just making sure that the card opens properly, so I'm not putting this on upside down or anything. And that's it. That's the finished card. I hope you enjoyed this process video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And thanks so much for watching.